Hey guys, it's Jason with Kentucky Sustainable Living. I've got Shelly with Two Old Crows Homestead, and we got Local Prepper with Local Prepper. We're going to do kind of a joint thing tonight. We're going to do a live stream. This is also going to be our HQ Homestead podcast for coming out Monday morning. You can get it on all the podcast platforms, but we don't want to keep LP waiting too long, so we'll get in. Guys, go check out the description is in there, vacmasterfresh.com. They're one of our affiliates. They make commercial chamber sealers and a lot of butchering knives. Use the code Homestead, get 15% off them. They've got an awesome deal going right now. They got 30% off their stainless steel tables, and you can stack that discount on top of the Homestead deal. We're looking. Some of those stainless steel tables are stinking cheap right now. That, and then go check out Signature Solar. It's signaturesolar.com. Go check those guys out. Use the coupon code Homestead, and that will get you some money off on your purchase. Since we got the business stuff out of the way, Local Prepper, we are glad to have you tonight. And kind of for the people that don't know who you are, kind of introduce yourself, tell them part of your backstory, what you've got going on and stuff like that. Make some stuff up if you want to.
I can make some stuff up now. I started prepping in 2008, and I didn't actually know what I was doing for a long time. Then around 2019, I actually started several other different channels on YouTube, and my girlfriend was like, hey, you really know a lot about this prepping stuff. You really ought to start doing a channel about that. So that's what I did. It's just it's growing. It's little by little, it's the YouTube thing. It takes forever it takes about 15 years to grow anything unless you do something incredibly stupid and then you're instantly famous. But that's the truth. That's the truth. But, so I kind of made it my mission. I've got a military background, and I got tired of hearing about how back when I was in special forces, that people were just selling stuff. I started looking at the prices of stuff, and I didn't like it at all. And I just started making a lot of my own stuff and showing people how to make it, and showing them that there are ways that you can do the same thing for so much less, and then teaching them how to spot scams and making sure that they know these things. The overarching goal, it's like they say every prepper's goal is to become a homesteader. Yep. But the truth is many cannot do it. They just can't. Like right now, I live in an apartment. I live in the middle of a town, and I don't have a yard. So that means that I can't have a crop. I could grow stuff in the windows and things like that, but I can't have a crop. So I have to rely on what we would consider Western prepping techniques, things of that nature. And then it just kind of morphed out, making friends and doing deals. And the next thing you know, I'm on somebody's YouTube channel going, hey, I'm Local Prepper. So now you know my backstory.
Oh yeah, and you can prep, and that's the thing. You can prep no matter where you're at. If you're in an apartment, if you're on, a third of an acre lot, if you're, if you've got 5 acres, or if you've got 5,000 acres, you can still do some kind of prepping stuff. And yep. And it's funny you talk about, blowing up on YouTube. I've watched one guy, and I won't name him, but he really calls a lot of these guys out. He's like, you see all these big YouTube guys that start a channel and then they grow to 500,000 subscribers. He's like, honestly, and it's all these special ops guys. It's like, I was Delta Force, I was a SEAL, and this and that. Those guys are really government shields, honestly. They're propped up by the algorithm and stuff like that. That's really the only way, that or take 15 years to grow a channel. So a lot of those guys, when they first came out, I started watching them. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. But it's all a big sob. They're kind of feeding you stuff. It looks good on the surface, but when you really get down to it, it's like, man, this guy's full of crap. So
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong; they've got skills. I used to work with them. My last posting was with Marine Special Operations Command. So I do have a background, but I don't bring that into this world because that's like I'm going to push that part of my life out so that I can bring this part of my life in.
Yeah.
But some of them do have skills. Some of them are legitimate guys. A lot of us a lot of people go through the same types of training. One of those is survival skills. And then they just bring that into the world. And, one of the things about the military, and I won't say it's a problem, is that it's like any other job. If you were in the computer industry for 20 years and you retired and decided you needed to go back to work, and the only thing that you could find was to be a Walmart greeter, you would try to figure out a way to use a computer to become a good Walmart greeter.
Yeah.
And that's really all they're doing. I just don't like the ones that take advantage of people is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. And some of them are selling awful high priced, crappy products that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, if you've got the credentials, you get the endorsements.
Yeah.
I got radio companies trying to send me radios to promote, and I just tell them how bad their radios are, and they keep sending me radios. Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but with certain companies, they know what you're doing. They research you and find out what you're about, and they're willing to support you to that level. Is all it really comes down to.
Oh yeah, and going with Shelly and I, the companies that we promote are companies that we've contacted. The companies that we're promoting are companies that I've contacted myself, use their products, just like VacMaster. I contacted VacMaster and was like, hey, I want a chamber sealer because we butcher, tons of animals every year.
Yeah.
Like, I want a commercial chamber sealer. I'm tired of these stupid food savers going out in a year.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we'll send you one, try it out. Tell us what you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing shows up. It's a beast. That thing weighs over 200 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, it's a legit commercial deal. It will do a 16 by 18 inch bag is the biggest bag size it'll do. I've never had a problem with it. They sent me a bunch of their butchering knives. Their butchering knives are just as good as Victorinox, and they're cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I use that stuff all the time now, and I'm going to stand behind it. And I mean, we've sold some of their stuff, and everybody that's bought it has seemed to have liked it. Also, Signature Solar. I mean, Signature Solar, I contacted them, and they're a great company to work with. We're working on some projects with them right now. So that is, I'm not, and I've had some people send me some stuff. I had one company send me a pair of like knockoff Mach boots, and I wore them for a little while, and they're kind of trash. I'm like, these things are just not worth anything. Of course, Mach boots are crap right now anyway. I wear those things out in 6 months if you're really using them.
Yeah, I got you.
So,
yeah. That Signature Solar, is that the company that does the well stuff too?
I don't think they have any well stuff, but they could. I haven't seen.
I wish they did have some well stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if they've got. I don't think they do. There's another company that I was talking to, but that does a lot of solar wells. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking to them, they're more based for the contractors. As far as a well contractor, not real homeowner friendly kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that every house, I think it should be like someone call the government and tell them if you own a well, it should have its own solar system. Yeah. Because when you live in the country, I have property in North Carolina that it's kind of like my bug out location. And, it's if you live on the power grid and you have a well, when you're out of power, you're out of water.
Yeah.
Is that easy? So I think they should all be on solar. They should all have their own little solar system.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's the big thing. A lot of people, and another thing about the solar, like Kentucky, they stopped a lot of the credits for solar a year or so ago. And all these farmers were putting these huge, big solar arrays out because they were getting a huge, big tax credit. And some of these other people, and they're like, oh man, I've got solar if the grid goes down. And I'm like, where's all your batteries to store all this energy? And they're like, well, I don't have that, but I've still got solar. I can still do this. I'm like, dude, you can do it when the sun's shining, but at night you don't have any kind of storage capacity whatsoever.
Yeah, you're selling that stuff back to the power company. You just don't know it.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, you should. I mean, I think everybody that has a well should have a backup solar pump for it, or shoot, just go ahead and run the thing on solar as it stands right now and save some money on your electric bill.
Yeah, that's my next plan, to have the to get my pump or my well 100% solar, because that's what I used to do. I did a little an experiment years ago, and it lasted like forever. I literally had to have the batteries toted off. I used to be able to buy used car batteries at the junkyard for $10 a pop.
Yeah.
And then all I did was just wire them all together and ran an entire solar system out there. Whenever the hurricanes would come through and take all the power out, I used to run my entire living room. It's what I called it, my keep them from going crazy solar system. I had 10 front prong batteries wired together. Was it 400 watt or 4 100 watt panels, and I would run, what was it? I ran the dish TV, the fan in the window, a 54-inch large screen TV, and the Xbox.
Yeah.
And that kept everybody from going crazy. But I could run that for days on end, no problem whatsoever. And everybody was like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. Those batteries aren't designed to do that." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, if I touch these things the wrong thing, I'm probably going to not be living anymore."
Oh, yeah.
The amps coming off those car batteries. But as far as what is it? Amp hours?
Yeah.
Amp hours and amp hour. It's that easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, where I'm sitting at in my office right now, I'm running a 12-volt RV fan like you would find in a camper. And then my recessed lights in here are running off 12-volt, and I'm running off its Patriot Power battery.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm running that right now, and then if I need to charge the batteries, I can stick a solar panel out there and charge the batteries on it. And that's what I use in this office, and it puts off plenty of light, plenty of air flowing around, and I'm like, that's the ticket right there. I've been talking for a year or better now that I want to build a bunkhouse onto the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Signature about it. I've got to run new wire to have a bigger service for my shop if we add the bunkhouse. And I'm to the point, I know what it's going to cost to run new wire and wire my bunkhouse. And for probably another $1,000 more, I can put a complete solar system in just to run that bunkhouse. So that's probably what we're going to wind up doing, is having the bunkhouse totally off grid, just that part of the shop. So, Shelly, are you watching comments? I can't hardly read them.
I am watching comments.
All right. So, LP, what else have you got going on? You're all over every time I pull up YouTube, because that's what I do during the day while I'm working. I'm a contractor, so I'm working. I've got my earbuds in, listening to stuff, and it's like, crap, you're like doing 3 and 4 times a day stuff coming out.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I try to keep it busy. Most of the times, I actually make more videos than you see, because I've got a YouTube membership, so I've got to make those guys videos too, just for them. But I try to keep it as busy as possible. You just getting the word out about preparedness. The world that we live in is pretty uncertain these days. And, I would like to be able to educate, the younger generation, but they don't like listening to us old gomers for some reason. And I don't know why, but, it is what it is. And I found that just talking as much as possible, you can get more people to listen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And heat for that bunkhouse, we're going to put a wood stove in there.
Nice.
That's what you're asking about. And I've already got the wood stove already bought. I bought it a couple years ago. Tractor Supply had them on clearance at like half off, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't really need this right now," but it's an $800 stove for $400. I can't pass that deal up.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, getting back. I mean, yeah, younger people. I mean, I'm 46, and so I don't consider myself too awful old, but some of the younger people won't listen anymore. It's just like pulling teeth with them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, any idea how big a solar system? It all depends, honestly. I mean, get a hold of me, and I can get the guys at Signature Solar to take a look at it. They can build a system for you. And but yeah, get a hold of me, and we can talk about that later. It all depends on what you want to do. If you're just going to run, if you want to run just like your refrigerator, a freezer, a window unit for air conditioning, and a few things, that's going to be a lot smaller system than if you're going to run a whole house. So.
I'm looking up. I was watching a video that Signature Solar put out, and hold on a minute. So they've got this 18K hybrid inverter, and so they had like this demo thing, and they had an outside air condition, like a regular, not like a window air conditioner, but a regular air conditioner running with a washer and dryer, a stove, a microwave, and a TV, and it ran all of that stuff. And right now they've got it on sale for like $5,000, which, I mean, I know very little about this, but it really impressed me that they were running all the things that they were running with that. I'm sure that you could run just about anything with that inverter.
Yeah. Here, Forrest. LP, tell us, what is your advice for someone just getting started into prepping? Give them a little bit.
Of course. Is there another chat? Because I'm looking at the one on YouTube. Are we going out someplace else?
We're going on
you're
Facebook.
Pulling in chats from all three from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was going crazy.
No,
okay. Well, see, one, you can prepare. Okay. I don't care what your income is. I've worked with one of my favorite people that I ever worked with had like almost no money to do anything with. That was their biggest problem. They wanted to prepare, but they just had $0 in their budget. And you can tell them to, okay, you need to, if you can afford to drink a beer, you can afford to prep. If you can afford to smoke a cigarette, you can afford to prep, but there's an easier way to do it. A lot of people don't even think about it. So when I started preparing, my biggest hurdle was filling shelves because I didn't know how to can. I didn't do any. I mean, I just wanted to be ready for something if something happened. And so I came up with what I call the 6-can method. And every time I go to the store, I don't do it as much now, but every time I would go to the store, I didn't care if I was going to, pick up whatever for whomever. It did not matter. Whatever store I went into, I always got 6 cans of something. And sometimes it would be beans. Sometimes it would be corn. Sometimes it would be peas. Sometimes it would be canned meat. I always got 6 cans of something. And then after a month of doing that, your shelves fill up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You don't even know you're doing it. And back then, a can of this and a can of that was anywhere from 35 cents to 55 cents. 55 cents was expensive in 2019, in 2008, it was nothing. And nowadays you could still get canned goods for less than $1 per can.
Yeah.
So if you get 6 cans, you're going to spend $6. If you do that every time you come through this, every time you go to Wally World, you're going to fill your shelves up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then what happens is your brain rewards you with a little shot of dopamine every time you do that, because you've accomplished something. Whether in the beginning, you don't know. It's almost like working out, you don't know that you're accomplishing anything because you don't see it. But one day you look in the mirror and there's like, maybe you're a little skinnier, or maybe your muscles are a little bit bigger, or maybe there's, maybe your eyes are a little clearer, It's the same thing when you start looking at those shelves. You look at your shelf and like, holy, there's a case of food there. How'd that happen? It's only been like a week.
Yeah.
It's only been 2 weeks. How's there a case of food there? How's this? And then you get hit with that little shot of dopamine, and then you just keep going. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over until one day you look and it's like, I need more shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah. And
that's my first recommendation to anybody who's a brand new prepper, because you can do it. Preppers aren't just, hey, let's go and, I try to make people understand that we used to, like, I love to can. Okay. To me, it's just this magical thing that makes food last forever. But But the thing is it's not 100% necessary in this day and age because we have the advent of modern canning practices. You know, the companies are doing it for us. So when you start, let them do it for you. Okay. Until you can know how to do it yourself, because that's going to create long-term or longevity in your preparedness. All right. Because when those cans are empty, all you can really do is melt them down and make toys with them, you know? Yeah. And that's only if they use the good aluminum, you know? But you know, it's you know, we learned to can, and we have so many canning jars, canning supplies, because we're going to reuse them in the future. When you start prepping, thinking about that is great, but you're not gonna make any progress that way. You know, you're probably going to waste more food than you thought. You're probably going to screw it up 20 times before you get it right. You know, well, if you just stick with your regular canned goods for a certain period of time, you can build that shelf, you know, and then, hey, it's time to learn how to canning. You know, it's time to learn how to can. It's time to learn how to process meats. You know, it's time to do the things that you know, our great grandparents had to do. You know, because that's your it's how you grow. You know, it's that transition. You're actually making like that very first step. I think canning is like the very first step when you start to make those that transition into I want to be a homesteader. Yeah. You know, because once you buy the jars, now you need a place to keep them. You know, you need a reason to use them. You know, so that I think that would be the initial advice I'd give a brand new prepper.
Yeah, and I mean, going along with buying the canned goods and everything, I know how much I can make as doing my contracting job through the day. And I was like, I can make this much money. I know how much my time is worth. It's easier sometimes just to go grab canned stuff as opposed to doing, you know, all the canning and stuff like that. And I can see that for a lot of people too. And you know, buying 6 cans at a time, a lot of people are just scared to death. They're like, I don't know the first move to make. And they're like, I need all this right now. They're just paralyzed with fear. It's just, you know, start off small. You're going to win, you know, the war in inches and not miles.
That's right. I mean,
take that first step. You know, how to eat a whole elephant is one bite at a time.
Exactly.
And I think that's great advice. You know, buy 6 cans of stuff, and then you look back and you're like, holy crap, I've got 600 cans or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you know you need more shelves, you know you're doing it right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That, and you're like, ooh, I need to take the extra bedroom and start filling. It's going into the extra bedroom. So, what else?
So the chat's not letting me pop the comments up. I'm not sure what's happening, but Jordan O'Neill said, what is the rate of inflation for solar units over the past 5 to 10 years? Jason, do you know that?
I honestly do not know. It's probably, I don't know, everything's going up. I'd say it's probably at least 20% more than what it was several years ago.
Seems like the inflation of everything is about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's at least 20%.
Yeah. And, you know, it sucks too because, you know, with the, you know, when products flood a market, they become less expensive. Mm-hmm. And that's just not happening. And I'm seeing that with the portable power systems. They're starting to give away free solar panels. If you look at like what is it, Pecron, Jackery, all of the like portable power. It's there, the portable stuff. They're starting to throw solar panels at you for less than $100, and that's normally the standard for solar panels. Is basically it's normally $1 per watt for any type of solar panel, you know, and then there's what we're on, like 3rd generation photovoltaic. So I mean, you would think that the prices would be going down, but for some reason they're not. Yeah. So it's I think unfortunately Jordan always asks the hard questions. She's a smart girl. Yeah.
Well, Ann wants to know, need solar for one room, for a freezer and a fridge and a heater for safety. And the best thing to do, if you can get a hold of me, we can figure some stuff out, and then I can get you, the equipment that you're going to need on it. It's kind of hard. We need to sit down and figure out all your wattages and stuff like that, what you're going to need, because it all depends. Your old school refrigerators with the freezer on top and the refrigerator on the bottom, they take a different, they're different wattage as far as power they're going to consume, as opposed to like a side-by-side or a French door. Mm-hmm. So if you get a hold of me, we can touch base with Signature and figure out exactly what you need. So that's kind of hard. It's one of those things that depends, and I hate telling people that. And there's really no one size fits all in that. So LP, what about after you got your 6 cans and you got to buy more shelves? What do you think people need to start doing after they got their food squared away? Because I'm a food, shelter, water kind of guy. After you got that taken care of, it's like, where do you go from there?
Upscaling things. When the 3 pillars that I use are water, food, security, in that order. A lot of people just kind of ignore the whole water thing. They're so used to turning the tap on and it works. Like we started out, if you live in the country and you're on a well and the power goes out, you ain't got no water supply. It's that easy. And it always kind of gets me. A lot of homesteaders don't store water. Yeah. They have massive. So I got a stream down there and I got a well over there, and they say that, and then, well, you ever heard of a bad well before, or what they call a summer well? Yeah. They dry up during the summers. And it happens. It's like one day you just don't have any water in your well. Okay, you got a river. How are you going to get water out of that river? Where's your system to get that water up to your house? Do you really plan on living out of 5-gallon buckets for water? So I always tell people to store water, using that 6-can method. What I would also do is about once a month, I would go, I started off buying, you used to be able to buy 1-gallon water bottles from the $1.25 tree store. And used to be able to buy them for 99 cents, no problem. And when they had them on sale, you could buy them for 50 cents a bottle. And so I started doing that. And then as I got more and more educated on different things, because there's little quirks to everything, by the way, it's, those are clear bottles and you need to keep them out of the sunlight. So, you need to make sure they don't get hot. They don't get cold. Is it cheap plastic? Did it leach into your water? There's 1,000 different little things. But the next thing is going to the next level, is going to the next stage. I tell people that they should probably, especially if they have a basement, they really don't have an excuse. If you have a basement, there is absolutely no reason why you do not have water storage in your basement. Yeah. None whatsoever. I have a 300-gallon tank in my basement. There's lots of companies out there that'll give you good deals on them. Some people like totes. If you can get a tote down into your basement, that'll work real good too. Yeah. Because it's dark and it's cool. You're not going to have any algae problems down there. You're not going to have any, you're just not going to have any problems at all, if you can get it down there. But there's companies out there that make these water containers. They're basically, they come in different sizes, but a lot of them are like 55-gallon jugs, or just made out of, they're like pickle barrels. Mm-hmm. Take it down, clean it out real good, let it dry out, rinse it out real good, take it downstairs and fill it up full of water. Get it up on pallets. You go to the back of the Walmart and grab a couple of pallets, because they're probably trying to throw 10 out right now. Oh yeah, there's about an hour away. There's they do TV dinners, or the freeze meals, and they use salted vodka for some of these fish meals, kind of seafood meals. And I will go get those barrels, and man, that salted vodka is the nastiest stuff. I tried just a little bit of it, but we wash those drums out, and I've got 4 55-gallon drums sitting in the basement ready to go. Yep. And then, of course, you'll see when you come down here, we've got 6 IBC totes on each side of the shop that are all plumbed in, ready to go. That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of homesteaders make, is they don't have water on standby. Yeah. They're just 1 is none, 2 is 1. They're used to their circumstances. Or worse, their daddy didn't do it that way.
Yeah.
Well, your daddy's probably a smart man, but you know what? There's probably somebody smarter than him. So there's always somebody smarter than me. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then the whole, 1 gallon per person per day, that's if you're sitting on the couch not doing anything.
Yeah. That's survival. That's what you're supposed to consume. But I always ask a couple of questions like, okay, so how much water did you drink today?
Yeah.
And people go, huh? Like literally, how much water did you drink today? How many times did you go to the spigot and fill up a glass of water and drink? And they can normally tell you almost nothing. Unless you're like in construction and you're walking around with like some giant, tote that you bought at the 7-Eleven that you have to fill up and fill full of ice every morning, unless you're walking around with that 1 gallon. You always see that guy who's walking around with a gallon of water, and it used to be milk in there, and he knows he's not supposed to do that, but that's all he's got.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are drinking a gallon of water a day. And so that's the first question I ask people, is just to think about it logically. And then I tell them, listen, that's just what you would need. In a strenuous environment, you're going to need a lot more than 1 gallon a day. And then you didn't factor in, but I've got all this freeze-dried survival food. Well, you didn't factor in that now you need water to rehydrate that food. You need water to cook in. You need water to wash your body in. You need water to do dishes in. Yep. And so 1 gallon a day just isn't going to cut it. And then now we're going to now we got to really step it up. We got to go to level 3, if that's how many levels there are. But now you got to start thinking about black water, gray water, catchments, reuse of water, things like that, I would think that would be the next thing. It's just time to level up after that, because, when you break down water, food, and security, we live in a modern world. Shelter is always going to be a thing for us. You can be a bum if a bum on the street of New York City can find shelter every night in a different place.
Yeah,
I think we're okay. I think we got shelter covered,
Oh yeah.
But if they kind of trickle down in each one of those categories of water, food, and security to different levels of preparedness to different things, yeah, that's what I would do.
Oh yeah. Today I didn't do a whole lot today. I did some farm stuff this morning and moving animals, and then we went fishing with my youngest son. Went fishing and did a few other things, and I've drank 1.5 gallons of water today. Mm-hmm. And that's not even really doing a whole lot. And the majority of that I drank while I was out moving hay and doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, the bare minimum that I like to tell people is 3 gallons per person per day.
Good number. That's a good number.
And realistically, you should probably push that to 5 if you've got the storage space for it. Mm-hmm. And then I figure too with my animals, and I figure my animals in the summertime, we got 50-gallon troughs, and I know I have to fill that trough up, every day, in the summertime. So I figure 50 gallons a day for the animals on the load of animals we've got right now. So Bill was wanting to know, Bill, there's a couple different websites. I don't know the calculations on it.
I've got it up right here.
Do you?
So you can get 0.6 gallons of water and 1 inch of rainfall per every square foot. So if you figure out the square footage, multiply it by 0.6, and then figure out how much rainfall you've got. Of course, you're going to need one of those little things to tell you how much rainfall you got. Or you can go online and look at it, I guess. But if you get 1 inch of rainfall, it's 0.6 times the square footage of whatever area you're wanting to find.
And that stuff, man, it does. It's amazing how much water you can collect off a roof. And that we have, back where our pigs are at, we have half of our barn. And how big would you say our barn is? It's not huge. It's 24 by 24, something like that.
Something like that. So it would be 12 by 24. And then there's also, like a little porch that comes off. But we fill 2 IBC totes to overflowing every time it rains. That's how we water our pigs. We have that whole rainwater catchment system set up for them. You can get some serious, especially in Kentucky. I mean, there are places in the United States that doesn't have as much rainfall as we have in this area, but you can get some serious water, from that kind of thing. And that's what Mike Shepard, him and Jeanette, that's the only way they have water. And they are rarely without water because of the amount of rainfall that we get.
What water filter to take chemicals out? LP, what's your favorites?
Yeah. So getting chemicals out of water is a very serious problem. There's no answer to that. There's no filter that can truly bring all the chemicals out. You need a reverse osmosis machine if you want to remove chemicals from your water. There are chemicals out there they call forever chemicals because they never go away. Yeah. And in high enough doses, they will kill you. So I always tell people, if you have a concern about a water supply that has chemicals in it, you probably need to find another water supply because the amount of time that it'll take you to get the water out of that or to get the chemicals out of that water, it's going to be, is the juice worth the squeeze? If it was an emergency, hey, I know guys that have reverse osmosis machines they put on the counters in their kitchen, no problem. But that's really what it takes to get the chemicals out of the water.
Yeah. And now, as far as other stuff, as far as your bacteria and stuff like that, I use a Berkey, and then I forgot the name of the website because we run my shop and my bathroom in my shop. We run it off rainwater, and we run it through a ceramic filters. And I bought the big canister filters. It's got they have 6 candles in there. I think it's Fresh Water Systems is the name of the company, and you can buy all that stuff. So I bought all the stuff, all the filters, and cobbled everything together. And our rainwater is 100% safe to drink. I drink it all the time, and never a problem.
Yeah.
With it. So,
well, most rainwater is completely safe to drink. I hate to say it. You get most of your contaminants of whatever's on your roof. Now you got a metal roof, you're probably going to have no problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
If you have an asphalt roof, then the birds that land on it and do their business and whatever. But that's gonna be, there's gonna be an issue there. I have something called the water machine. It's very much like a Berkey. But in fact, the guy who designed it used to work for Berkey for like 40 years. But it uses similar technology. In fact, the filters are actually made in the same. They're made in the same factory as the Berkey filters.
Really?
So yeah, and they're half the price.
Isn't there something about Berkey? Are they going out of business or something? I've been seeing some weird stuff about them.
No, there were some legal issues. They were getting sued. And then they were getting sued by basically I call them a water zealot because unless God made the water and put it in a cup for him and handed it to him, it was never going to be pure enough. And so he was suing them, and then the courts said, go away, you're being dumb. And so he came back like a year later and tried to sue him again, and then he lost. He actually lost. The case went to court, and then he lost. So it was like you're claiming you're taking all this stuff out, but it's not. I've had it tested, and then you go and actually look at the guy's results, and they weren't very scientific about their tests.
Well,
so,
and then what it is. Cindy's asking about dehumidified, the water you get out of a dehumidifier. There was a company, Shelly, at the last festival that were selling. They were pulling, is essentially a dehumidifier, and they were pulling water out of the air. Remember those people?
No, I don't.
I'm pretty sure that they had that. I would say I would run it through some kind of filter just because I know I've got a dehumidifier in my basement, and that little catchment thing kind of gets nasty and funky. So, I mean, water's water. I wouldn't have a problem with doing that whatsoever. That, and then Utah Mike said a distiller. A distiller will take a lot of the stuff like that out.
Yeah, I would caution everybody here on live TV, never drink dehumidifier water unless you absolutely have to. And the reason is because it's loaded with heavy metals. It's the actual process of it being moved through that machine, the air sucking it out of the air, going across coils, things like that. It's loaded with heavy metals. But you can filter out heavy metals if you have a good filter, like those ceramic filters. No problem. They'll filter out the heavy metals.
Yeah. And going back on the asphalt roofs, I was checking that. I've got an asphalt roof on my house, and I've got a metal roof on my shop. I was like, and you hear everybody says, do not drink it off an asphalt roof. I searched and searched for a long time, and there was I think it was Texas A&M did a study on asphalt roofs, and they collected off an asphalt roof and looked for the organic or whatever, the volatile organic compounds that are in the asphalt roofs. And they said after 5 years, there was little to none of those chemicals in that rainwater. And I'm like, that's cool. And then they did it on a brand new roof. And of course, there was a lot more of it in there. Yeah. And they said, you probably don't need to drink that. But I've likened it as, hey, I would rather die of cancer in 30 years than dehydration in 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
In a survival situation.
Well, a little scientific tidbit here. So have you seen those commercials on TV lately where it's like, we can make your roof last another 5 to 10 years. And there's some dude up there with a giant sprayer. Yeah. And he's spraying the roof. He's putting the chemicals back in the asphalt.
Yeah.
So just an FYI.
Oh, yeah.
Shelly's like, he can't make that up. Reality. Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, because I've read some things about that too. And it's like after a while that, the stuff that's going to hurt you is not even, it's kind of like with tires. After a while, the bad stuff is gone anyway. But yeah, if they're extending the life of your roof, there you go.
Yeah. You just put the chemicals right back in it.
I'll just stick with my tin roof and it'll be all right.
There you go.
I mean,
I just looked up these water machines. These are very reasonably priced.
You got the water machine?
Yeah, the water machine. I just looked it up because I've looked at Berkey's. I don't have one of them, and they've got it listed on here for $300. That's pretty reasonable.
It's really cool too. I've got the one with the stand. You don't have to have the stand. Yeah, right. You don't have to have the stand. You can put it right on your counter. Their only drawback is they're made of glass. That's their only drawback.
It's cool looking because it's all made of glass.
But I've never had anything. I've never had a dog run into it and didn't knock it over. You just have to be careful when you're cleaning it. It's like anything else. From a survival standpoint, it's not very smart. But from, hey, what's that in the corner of your kitchen? Oh, let me tell you about this.
Well,
yeah, it's nice looking. I like it.
Well, you could use code local prepper and you'll save a bunch of money.
Oh, cool. I can do that. I was going to ask you if you had a link or something.
Yeah. If you go to my website, localprepper.net, shameless promotion. It'll see, just scroll all the way to the bottom or go to, trusted products and then scroll to the bottom and you'll find a link there. Go there and look at it. I don't normally promote on other people's channels, but anybody who uses a Berkey, I have to tell them, unless you're using ceramic filters like you are, keep doing what you're doing, because I don't think they sell ceramic filters. But the standard carbon filters that this guy sells, his name is Tom, and he actually lives in Hawaii. I've had many conversations with him. He worked for Berkey for about 30 years. And he was like, there's got to be a better way to do this to make it like where people would like it more. So that's what he came up with the water machine. But the filters that he sells you are the same filters that they make in the Berkey filter factory in Texas.
Okay. And
if you check the prices on those filters, you'll be very surprised.
Really?
Yes. You'll be it's almost like a little hidden secret.
Wow. Jordan put it in there. Code local prepper saves you another $45. Hey, wow. That's pretty good savings on stuff. So
let me just ask you a question about this. I'm sorry. I'm really interested in getting one.
Shelly's gonna buy one in a minute.
I'm getting ready to click add to cart. Does it sweat?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, it doesn't sweat. It doesn't sweat. I think it doesn't sweat because the glass is bubbled.
Probably.
But it doesn't sweat. And people ask me about algae. I will get algae from time to time in the top portion of it, but it gets filtered out. And I only get the algae growth when I haven't cleaned it for like 6 months. You know, and they just make it so easy. And if you do buy one, when they send you the filters, don't lose the black plug. Okay, because the black plug is what you need to backwash the filters. I've been on one set of filters. They're rated for 10,000 gallons per filter. And I'm still on my first set of filters.
How long have you had it?
I don't know, 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. The things start to drip a little slowly, and I just back flush it and put it back together and fill it up, and in the morning it's full.
And we had to do mine in the shop. We didn't use it for a while, and the ceramic filters kind of got all gunky, so we just pulled the big cap off of it, unscrewed the filters out, and I took them outside, and they got a brush that comes with it to scrub them. We scrubbed it, backwashed it, and all that, and then man, it ran great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
so does this thing filter out like chlorine and fluoride and all that stuff that's in your municipal water? Okay.
No, it just fills out all the bad stuff that'll kill you if you put pond water in it.
Gotcha. All right.
Cindy is asking, can you buy your own stainless steel pots and make a Berkeley equivalent in a spigot?
In a heartbeat. But what you have to do is make sure that whatever filters you buy, make sure that whatever pot you're making it out of, it's tall enough and deep enough to hold the filters. Like for instance, the filters that we're talking about, they're 9-inch filters. They make different sizes ones, So and if you put a filter inside of a container and you don't like when carbon filters dry out, or even when ceramic filters dry out, they stop filtering. They stop allowing that porous action to work properly. So if you have a filter that is too long, say you use like one of those you can go to Walmart, and I'm trying to you can buy buckets, like 5-gallon buckets that are only 3 gallons. And if you try to put a 9-inch Berkey filter into that, making your own, it won't work. It won't work because you're going to have half the filter sticking up out of it.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to start with that filter submerged. That's why you always prime your filters first anyway. That way you have that constant water flow. Nothing dries out. Now, eventually it won't matter. Okay. But just make sure that the size filter will fit in whatever size bucket that you're trying to use, or whatever size can, or whatever it is you're trying to use. But yeah, you can buy all the parts at Lowe's and make your own and buy some filters. No problem.
Yeah. And there's tons of YouTube videos. I've seen tons of videos, guys making them out of food grade 5-gallon buckets.
Yep.
And I will see, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I'll see if I can find, now does that company sell just the filters that you're dealing with?
They do. Okay. They do. They're $75 for 2.
Yeah,
Yep.
You can get those filters, or I'll see if I can find the website where I bought the ceramics that I've got in my shop, and I'll see if I can get that and put it in the description tomorrow for everybody.
The ones on here aren't listed as ceramic; they're black carbon.
Yeah. They don't sell ceramic filters.
Okay.
Man, we've touched everything. We've touched solar. The only thing we hadn't talked about is pew-pews yet. So,
pew-pews.
We'll probably get.
We kind of want to stay on here, so maybe we shouldn't talk about pew-pews.
We get smacked on the wrist about that. So, Lord, now if you touch one during a live, they automatically kick you off. From
yep.
No.
No, nothing of that category can be used, shown, talked about, anything on live streams. You can probably get away with talking about it a little bit, but as long as you're not too descriptive, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say this. If you think you have enough, you probably don't have enough. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
LP, you're going to be talking about Preparedness 101 at the festival. Can you give us some highlights? We obviously don't want you to go into it because we want everybody to come and hear you at the festival, right? But can you give us some highlights of what you're going to be discussing under that?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I tend to focus on the 101. That's the title we came up with. And, I tend to focus on the basics of preparedness and then to branch out from there, in the simplest terms, water, food security, everything else after that is icing on the cake. It's just going to make your life better. My focus is to thrive, not survive. I've been taught how to survive. I've survived. Survival sucks. Okay. If you think that you're going to have a great life when you're sticking your little blue straw into a mud puddle, when you're laying on the ground, you're not going to have a good day.
Yep.
Right.
You're going to survive, but you are not going to be thriving, and I'll cover different things that can make you can step up from that, but make your life 1,000 times easier with some of the simplest things that people just don't even think about. And then if you want to talk about food, we talked about the 6-can method. That's key to getting started. And then like I said, because we don't want to give it all away, and then obviously security can mean lots of different things. It can it could be something as simple as let's see. Let me get in the description of this video. It says like I'm going to be giving away all these tips and tricks. All right, go to Walmart and buy a single set of man-sized socks. Okay, the cheapest ones you can find. Then go down to the sporting goods aisle and buy yourself a 24-inch T-ball bat. Buy the pinkest one you can find. It's not gonna matter. Then take it home, put the sock over that T-ball bat, and put a rubber band on it. That's your new piece of security for all these people that live in places where they can't have pew-pews. I don't know if you've ever been hit with anything like that, but most people don't get up.
Yeah.
You put the sock on it in case you have some ninja you come up against and he just goes and grabs that sucker. So when he goes to try and grab it or pull away from you, it slides right out of his hands because of the sock.
Good idea. That's awesome. We never thought of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's not huge. And oh, by the way, most baseball bats or softball bats in most cases are like 36 inches long.
Yeah.
You try to wheel that thing going down a hallway, it's not going to happen. So just little things like that, little tidbits, little things that I've learned over the years is the kind of stuff we'll talk about, and then, obviously there'll be other things that we'll get into. Everything from water purification. I mean, I figure I've got 45 minutes to talk about stuff, and I can talk.
Well, we've done a good job talking right now.
Yeah. People were actually asking me, like, is this going to be exactly what you're going to talk about? Like, they were like going to be like hitting the record button and stuff. And I was like, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm super appreciative of all your people coming over here and hanging out with us tonight. We've had a good conversation. Guys, go check out. I appreciate you being here. Check out Shelly's channel. It's Two Old Crows Homestead, and then check out my channel, which is Kentucky Sustainable Living. And then we've got our podcast also, which is Homestead HQ. We're doing those. They drop on Mondays and Thursdays is when they drop. And we're doing pretty much we're trying to do, and we'll do one a week, just Shelly and I talking about different stuff. And then as the festival gets closer, we're going to be interviewing our speakers each week. So, LP's on here. He's speaking at our event. Next week, we'll have somebody else that's going to speak, and that's going to be live and on the podcast also. So, Shelly, run down some of the festival stuff, because I know you've got it right in front of you.
I just opened up my notebook because I knew you were going to ask me. So some of the speakers that we have coming besides Local Prepper is we're going to have William Bond. He's going to be talking about permaculture on the homestead. We're going to have Bill Stoker. We did a video with him, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. He's going to be talking about homestead.
Stoker-matic.
Yeah, Stoker-matic. Sean Terrio is going to be talking about cybersecurity. If you want to get unplugged from the matrix, you need to come hear him. Randall White is going to be talking about tree grafting. He's also going to have a booth set up where he'll be doing demonstrations and teaching you about that. I can't wait to meet him because this is one of those skills that I want to know. Let me go back. I don't know if she's still on here or not, but Ann Garvey was talking earlier, and she was talking about all the skills that she needed to learn. And just start making a list. Like tree grafting is one of those skills on my list that I want to learn how to do. Just start making a list and taking one bite at a time. Leslie Gossett is going to be talking about, she's going to be doing an herbal walk. She's also going to have a demonstration booth set up where you can go make tinctures and take stuff home. Kowalski Mountain is going to be talking about beekeeping. Brian and Susan from S&B Radio is going to be talking about communications and setting up a communication plan. Let's see. Chuck Peoples is going to be there talking about all the medical things. If you want to learn everything, you need medical. Like it's the thing that you need. You might save all the cans and save all the pew-pews and have all of that stuff. But if you don't know how to fix basic things like an infection or a gash or something, a cut that needs more maintenance than, just a Band-Aid, you need to know medical. Chuck's class that I went to, I have used that training. I don't even know how many times now, probably a dozen times since the 2 years ago when I took that class. Jeff Smith is going to be talking about what, if you got fence riders in your life, those people that say, hey, if the shit hits the fan, I'm going to come to your house. And you're going, what? If you're trying to figure out, how to deal with that, or, the people that maybe you do want to come to your house and you can't convince them that it's something that they need to be worried about, Jeff's going to be talking about that and addressing that. And then Byron Russell is going to be doing drone defense, and Chronically Healthy is going to be there talking about healthy living. I got everybody.
You missed Angry Prepper's going to be there.
He is at the top of my list, and I started with William. Angry Prepper is going to be there. Yes, he's coming down from New York, and he's going to spend the weekend with us, and I can't wait to see him again.
And he makes that drive super fast. He told me he's driving like over 100 sometimes. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I was like, how are you getting by with that? He's like, I don't know. So
I don't know that he should be driving through redneck Appalachia doing that.
No, that's not smart.
He said there's a couple spots that he didn't want to stop. And I was like, I don't blame you.
He probably just blown through there. We're also going to have some demonstrations set up during the festival. Angie from Grumpy Acres is going to be demonstrating fermenting. Lawrence from Kentucky Sustainable Living is going to be demonstrating canning the whole 2 days. Flomaton Famous, the tree guy, he's going to be doing grafting, and then Leslie's going to be doing tinctures. So yeah, you'll be able to come and meet these people and ask them questions and talk to them. It's great. Come and see them.
Yeah, and you can get the website is KentuckySustainableLiving.com. That's where you can look at all the info. You can get your tickets. There's also some workshops on Friday before. We've got the medical workshop. We've got Leslie's doing an herbal workshop. We're doing a radio workshop, and then a canning workshop on Friday that you can come to. Those are extra workshops that you can come to on it. And then Saturday night, we're doing a charity dinner for Caleb House, which is Bear Independence. TJ, Caleb House is a rehabilitation center for the children that they rescue out of sex trafficking rings. They're building it, so we're having a charity dinner. All our speakers will be there Saturday night. So if you want to come hang out, eat dinner with LP and all the other speakers, you can have dinner with us and hang out for the night. We're going to have some good bourbon and probably some beer so we can kick back and relax and raise some money for probably the best cause that I can think of, honestly. So
go check all of that out at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. If you use promo code email25, you can get your tickets for $25 right now, and children 17 and under are free.
LP, tell everybody where they can find you at. and then we'll kind of close this deal out for the night.
They can't find me anywhere.
All right.
Ever. No, you can go, just hit the Google machine and type local prepper, all one word. I got like 4 pages worth of stuff there. So, and if that confuses you, go to localprepper.net and you'll be able to see all that there. And if you're searching on the YouTube, just local prepper, all one word.
All right. Awesome. And guys, we appreciate y'all being on here, and we will hopefully see a bunch of y'all at the festival. LP, thanks for being on here. Shelly, tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Bye.